Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Death's Head 2, number 1, cover dated March 1994. And as the corner box makes plain, this is part 1 of 4, so a 4-issue limited series. The cover art here is by series artist Liam Sharp, inked by Andy Lanning. And we have here Death's Head Mark II holding up the severed head of Death's Head Mark I. The death of Death's Head, says the caption, and Death's Head 2 says Death's Head is completely terminated, yes. So, a very striking image, lots of detail on it, and it certainly caught my attention when it was on the racks back in the day. Marvel UK launching with this particular miniseries and hoping to make inroads into the US market. And indeed they did. This was an unexpected hit for Marvel UK, and it led to an ongoing series. So let's open this one up. Oh, actually, before I do that, I want to show you that on the point of the miniseries popularity, the first issue, which here on the left is a first printing, it was so popular that it sold out, and that led to a second printing with this gimmick whereby the background behind Death's Head 2 was turned silver. So even more flashy on the comics racks for anyone who missed out on the first printing of the issue. I think it's quite effective, like highlighting Death's Head 2 there with that silver background. So there you go. But we're going to look at the first printing of the comic. I'm going to open this one up to our first page, and the title of the story is The Wild Hunt, Part 1. Well, actually, that's the title of the story arc. The particular story here is Mergers and Acquisitions. So the creator credits are story Dan Abnett, pencils Liam Sharp, inks Andy Lanning and Bambos Giorgiou, colors Helen Stone, and letters Perry Godbold. So you'll notice here, especially American or people familiar rather with American comics, that the color palette here is more varied and more interesting than the contemporary American color palette. And that's because a lot of UK comics had this painted kind of watercolored style coloring, just a more varied palette. And it certainly would have been striking for readers familiar with the American comic at the time to see this type of coloring. So the story opens on a planet called Tyler's World in the Canopus system. This is all sci-fi nonsense, but then we have a monologue. Old Tyler's come a long way since I first knew him. Got a world named after him now, yes. And this is very particular idiom of Death's Head Mark I, who very often ends his statements, declarations, with a rhetorical yes. Not to mention a fortress described by the architect as impregnable. Of course, one glimpse of a titanium axe, and even the quietest architect will talk his head off. So Death's Head always had a hangman's sense of humor. So here we go. He continues, besides, in my book, nothing's impregnable, especially when the money's good. Very cool anchor image here of Death's Head. And he's switching out one of his hands for a blaster here. And he leaps in on these mercenaries that are protecting the Tyler character. We've got another great anchor image here of Death's Head striking out at all of these various mercenaries. And he beats them easily. Love these images here by Liam Sharp in the corner of the mercenaries getting beaten in the face here by Death's Head. This is a great silhouetted image of Death's Head zeroed in on his skull-like head. More action down the bottom of the anchor image too. And at this point I want to show you, like, who is Death's Head? Well, Death's Head was created by UK comics creators, British comics creators, Simon Furman and Jeff Senior. And this is Death's Head first appearance in the UK Transformers magazine. I picked this up religiously from 1987 until it ceased publication in, I think, 1991. I got this one signed by Simon Furman at a London comic convention back in 2011. So there's no Death's Head here on the cover, but this is his hand. This is a storyline where there's a price out on the head of Galvatron, the future version of Megatron, and here's our first look at Death's Head in his original design by Jeff Sr. I was always partial to this design, and Death's Head in this, when he's called by this robot barman as a bounty hunter, is not happy. Not bounty hunter, yes, don't like that term, understand. Freelance peacekeeping agent, yes, for certain financial remuneration, of course. He always had that wicked dry sense of humor. Was a very entertaining character, and from the off, incredibly popular. So he returned again and again in Transformers comics until he got his own UK comic, and that's before the Death's Head 2 series. I'll show you another cool page of Death's Head in action here against the robot bar guy, just grabbing his head and smashing it into the bar. Really cool artwork by Jeff Sr., one of my favorite artists from back in the day. But let's get back to Death's Head 2, and bear in mind what I said about Death's Head's antipathy to being called a bounty hunter, because we're going to see a contradiction of that coming up, and that left Simon Furman, the co-creator of Death's Head, a bit sore about the new upcoming version of the character. So Death's Head here, that's a pretty cool anchor image again by Liam Sharp, and this is typical of his panel layouts at the time and storytelling, where he would have these long, slender panels with the character coming forward, one arm in front, then the other, as he's striding forward towards us with a close-up here, a narrow close-up. And of course, you've got that wonderful UK-style colouring on the page, bright and interesting. Death's Head here is making his way towards Tyler, where he thinks he's expecting to find him. He's expecting maybe a trap. He finds all these dead bodies. Someone's beating me to Tyler, he says. Tyler's strung up here. And if that was an example of his handiwork, something tells me I better be careful. Yes, look at these silhouetted figures here. The new Death's Head here. So Tyler's trying to speak. Let's turn the page. We've got some great art on these pages by Liam Sharp, inked by Andy Lanning, and those great colours again. So Tyler here says, "You've been paid, haven't you? I'll double it. Stop, I'll pay anything." And Death's Head here in his monologue says, "I get the picture. The guy's a bounty hunter. Like me, yes? No, not like you, Death's Head. You're a freelance peacekeeping agent for a certain financial remuneration." And like I said, that's what ticked off the original co-creator Simon Furman. But there's great art here, and the story's not too bad either. Just look at this side profile of the new Death's Head 2 model. Now, at this point, he's called Minion. We'll get a little bit more about what's going on with him. Look at the brutality of this. So he's using this piece of equipment that goes right in the back of Tyler's head and out through his mouth to assimilate his instincts. So what's all that about? Death's Head himself here is wondering, instincts assimilated? Not normal bounty hunter jargon. Tyler was mistaken, I think. And so he tells this character, Minion, let's call him Minion for the moment, to hold it right there, that he's got the drop on him. And then we get this enigmatic response. Matter of fact, no, but I can't take you now. I got another appointment first. And Death's Head says, "Tyler was worth 7 digits to me. You beat me to him. Explain motives, yes? Like I said, I have an appointment, but after him, you're next." So then he teleports out of there, and Death's Head has tracked him. But thanks to this tracking beacon, not forgotten, yes. He says he's gone, but not forgotten. Always love those t-shirts, want those t-shirts. And then, where does he teleport to? Well, he teleports to AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, Central 2020 AD, the far-flung future of 2020 AD from the vantage point of 1992, eh? This is a great panel here of Death's Head Minion, I'll call him Minion until he becomes Death's Head, arriving on this teleportation deck. Says to his boss here, Dr. Necker, "Mission accomplished. Hunting instinct of subject 103, fully assimilated. You want to check me over?" She says, "Cut the chat and report to medical, old business." Medical says, "Looking good, Dr. Necker, all systems green. Seems the central data core is absorbing the instincts better than we'd expected." And Minion here says, "Give it to me straight, Doc. How long have I got?" This flippancy isn't amusing, Minion. You'd better get after the next subject. This is nice page or panel layout here by Liam Sharp. These small panels were something that he did very well at the time. And this pose on Dr. Necker here is very similar to some poses like Jim Lee style poses. So this is a good point to talk about Sharp's style in this comic, that he is aping aspects of Jim Lee's style, and that was part of the reason for the popularity of the miniseries, I would say. Later on, he leans into a bit more of a Simon Bisley influence in the ongoing Death's Head series. But here, there's definitely a deliberate attempt to imitate, not copy exactly, because Sharp has got his own style, but imitate aspects of Jim Lee and Scott Williams' art, which at the time was the best-selling art in comics in early 1992. So Minion teleports out of there. I like the way that we have a moment-to-moment with these three panels, and I like the way he illustrates the teleportation effect with the glowing eye there. That's nicely done. And then Dr. Necker asks for an extraordinary meeting of the executive committee of AIM. So she arrives into the meeting. It's a virtual reality conference room. And we've got a nice color hold here of the various attendees, including alien beings on this side of the table. And Dr. Necker says, "Thanks for accessing virtuality so promptly. And this is all in the age before the internet really kicks off. I have a progress report on Project Minion. The Minion construct has now encoded the instincts." This guy's a bit in a hurry. He says, "Keep it short, Necker. I have a meeting in Beijing in an hour, and they don't have virtuality yet, so I've got to go in person for God's sake." And this one says, "Good grief, primitives," even as she turns her nose up there. That's a nice upturned nose by Sharp. This is a really nice drawing here of Necker. And you can see that Sharp was probably looking maybe at some photo reference here for this particular face. And she continues with her presentation. She says, "The acquisition program is advancing. As predicted, the construct has now encoded the instincts of 103 individuals into his data core." So he's on schedule but over budget, says one of the board members. And then we get like, what is all of this about? What is going on? Why is this Minion character going around absorbing the data cores of the instincts into his data core of these various targets? And we get the explanation here from this board member. "Dr. Necker, when our PDC, Precognitive Data Collection Unit, picked up an unknown threat to AIM, which totally demolishes the organization in the near future, we agreed to fund your Minion project for our defense, and now you're saying it isn't working." So she says, "Not so, it's working, but there's a little bit of a glitch, and she requires more backup facilities and a higher budget." So they okay that, and they ask, "Where's Minion now?" And she says, "In the year 2456 AD, in the Zeta Reticula quadrant," all nonsense, "in pursuit of target 104, a rather large barbarian warrior named of Ladrox." So this is the kind of thing that Liam Sharp loves drawing, kind of sword and sandal, barbarian, sword and sorcery type stuff. And we get it here on this page. This is the kind of thing that he really loves, and that is a strength of his. So here's Ladrox here, and he is knocking around this character, Phaedra, who has precognitive ability, and he wants to find out about his future, but apparently she can't tell the future for anyone who asks, unless they ask politely, you know, like don't slap her around. So he says, "Tell me my future, tell me what lies in store for me. I must know now, my pretty, I must know now." His future's right behind him there. And so it's Minion, and he leaps off this hilltop and says, "Allow me to enlighten you, Ladrox. You're going to die very shortly at the hands of a cyborg from the 21st century." So that gets his attention. We've got nice 6 panels here of the fight between the pair. Ladrox is an interesting design with his 4 arms as well. and Minion uses his blaster to cover Ladrox with some rubble from the side of the hill, and then here he is emerging from the what do we call it? Like the dust from the rubble of the hill. And Phaedra's wondering, is it Ladrox? No, it's Minion rather. And she thinks he's going to kill her, but he doesn't. He frees her. So that's interesting little insight into the fact that Minion isn't a gratuitous killer. He's not a psychopath. He only kills when he's required or programmed. So he says to her, relax, it's Ladrox I wanted. Matter of fact, I need a couple of secs with his body before his instincts get too rusty. So she says to him, he's not dead, picking up a glimpse of the future, and I see him fighting with you. So here he is getting up from beneath the rock rubble, and our Minion gets ready to take him on again. He lashes out with his forearms here, rips off some of Minion's armor. That's a really cool anchor image there. This Ladrox character looks like he's inspired a little bit by the Predator design from the movies. I love these two panels here where we get to see Minion's right arm and how it is plastic in terms of he can shape it into any kind of weapon. So he uses it to strike off Ladrox's hand, stabs him in the torso, flings him away, and then he gets him in the back of the head with this cranial disruption siphon and absorbs his instincts. They're assimilated. Great page here, great action. So Phaedra here says, I cannot condone your methods, but I thank you for my life. What no grateful kiss, says Minion. So he's got that sense of humor. Really cool design here on the profile with the exposed jaw as well on one side of his head. And she, whatever she does here, teleports away. I feel we shall meet again, farewell, and calls him, addresses him as Death's Head. Death's Head, he's confused. Darling, as a precog, you're way out of whack. Seconds later, who arrives? Except the robot in question, and just missed Minion, but not by much. Got a firm fix on his teleporter leading back to Earth, October 12, 2020. So Necker's there, ready for Minion's arrival. And she tells him, that's far enough. Your deviant behavior concerns me greatly. Report for a thorough systems check. He says no time. He's in a rush to get on to the next target. He says he's absorbed subject 104. He demands that he be checked over quickly so he can make the next trip. But she says, no, go. We've got to make sure you're functioning perfectly. He insists, just do it, doctor. And then there's a problem here. Power surge, roof level. This is a really cool anchor image here. We've got Death's Head jumping through the ceiling, all the debris around him. We've got Minion here looking up towards him. Necker here up on our platform, observation platform. And Death's Head launching in with a laser blast. So Necker calls security, but Minion is going to take on Death's Head himself. Punches him through the torso here onto the ground. And then I like this tough guy talk. I admire your guts, Death's Head, says Minion. Death's Head responds, you haven't seen them yet, says Minion. So Death's Head, or rather Minion here, strikes Death's Head in the belly. Death's Head strikes him right through the belly too. Minion cuts his hand off, and then this is brutal scene here. Smashes half his face away with his deadly right hand. And here he's getting ready, turning it into that cranial siphon. And I remember reading this the first time. It was quite shocking for me because in the Transformers comics and in his own solo UK comic, Death's Head was the tough, badass character. So what was happening here was really shocking for teenage me at the time. And Minion strikes off his head, grips it there and puts in the cranial siphon to assimilate Death's Head's instincts, but something goes wrong. Of course it does. And Necker here, shocked and surprised and worried. We're on the last page, and yeah, something's gone wrong. But Minion is still sticking to his mission, out to absorb the instincts of Subject 106. And I love these narrow panels again, these little small drawings by Liam Sharp, and they work so well. They're so very detailed and very distinctive of his style at this time. So Minion gets back up on the teleportation platform. Necker's asking him, Minion, answer me, what's going on? And then, I'll be back, yes. So what personality is running the show there, except of course Death's Head? So he teleports away. Necker here asks the assistant to get a fix on him. Where's he going? And he's going to Earth 1992. So the timeline of the reader. He's gone after the last target. So target 106 is the last target. Who is it? She wants to know who it is as she gets suited up to make the time jump after Minion. And the technician there says, according to this, Subject 106 is a human named Reed Richards. And that's really cool, because here we have like the UK creators about to get to play with Marvel US's main superheroes. And so this little mini-series really widens out in its scope over the course of the next 2, 3 and fourth and final issues. So quite a cool first comic here. As I said, it did really well, went to a second print, and a very successful launch of the Marvel UK imprint on the US market. These were the other titles: Knights of Pendragon, Motormount, Digitex, Hell's Angel, Warheads. More advertisements here. A 2-page advertisement for Hell's Angel with, of course, the X-Men featuring here, Punisher there. Also very cool artwork. And a little bit more about the Marvel UK imprints, and then a little preview in black and white of the covers to the next issue, issue number 2, Reed Richards featuring there on the cover of the Thing on the back. So a lot to look forward to. And every one of these mini-series issues came with a back cover, a full back cover. And that's the back cover to issue number 1. So you get a good look at the whole design for Minion here, who is now at the end of the issue Death's Head 2 and original Death's Head here in Necker there. But like, this is nice. It's nicely drawn by Liam Sharp, but really it makes sense that this is the cover that they go with, facing the potential customer on the racks. Very cool. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Death's Head 2 number 1. If you did, please like the video on YouTube, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.